An urban renewal is in full effect in Columbus for the Scarlet and Gray. But the Buckeye redevelopment plan is oh so leery today of the Knights of UCF. Welcome to the Horseshoe in Columbus, Ohio. It's the Buckeyes and the Knights, an ESPN college football presented by 5 Hour Energy. Both UCF and Ohio State coming in 1-0, both impressive offensively, scoring over 50 points in their season openers last weekend. On the sidelines for Ohio State, Urban Meyer in his first year with the Buckeyes has a couple of national championships on the resume on the road back home to Ohio State, where he started out as a grad assistant. And for George O'Leary, well, he wants to fire up the faithful with what would be the biggest win in school history if they can pull it off today. He has already riled up the Buckeye base with a comment this week on his radio show that Ohio Stadium isn't very loud on game day. We shall see if the Buckeye contingent of over 100,000 strong has anything to say about it. They're reserving themselves for kickoff, I think, at this point. Beth Bowens along with Joey Galloway. Lewis Johnson also with us today here in Columbus. And a homecoming for you, Joey. Wonderful career here with Ohio State before 16 seasons in the NFL.
I'm excited to be back. It was interesting watching the band do Script Ohio. I never got to see that. As a player, you're in the locker room. You always heard great things about it. To actually watch that was special.
One of the few times you get to come back here as a fan, isn't it?
Yeah, this is my first time in the stadium to see a game since I played here.
Ohio State winning the toss. They defer. UCF will receive the opening kick, and an injury update for the Knights. Latavius Murray, who had over 100 yards rushing last week, but also bruised his shoulder. We are told he will not be available today. Storm Johnson, the transfer from Miami, will get his first start today. There's a look at Blake Bortles getting set to come on. He had his first career start at quarterback for UCF last week in Akron. They were here in Ohio, but certainly a much different environment he'll have to deal with this afternoon. Drew Basil set to kick it off. Ohio State in the scarlet and gray. And the kickoff from the 35-yard line for the touchback. So UCF will start out at its own 25-yard line with Blake Bortles, the sophomore, 168 yards, 3 touchdowns last week. The first time since '07 that a QB for the Knights has thrown 3 in a game.
Watch for the power running game from UCF today. It's going to be key for this offense to be able to run the ball right into the mouth of what Ohio State does best on defense, their defensive line, their front seven.
They did not have to defend an awful lot against the run last weekend against Miami. They were pass happy, so the Buckeyes chomping at the bit to see what they can do against the Knights running game. Bortles will work out of the shotgun, and his first offering a pass out into the flat and a completion out to the 30-yard line. How about our impact players, brought to you by Longhorn Steakhouse?
For UCF, you mentioned Storm Johnson, the big-time transfer from Miami. You got Quincy McDuffie on the outside, their best big play guy, and Kamal Ishmael, 25 straight starts in the secondary from safety. He's the big hitter.
UCF, a team that likes to pound on the ground. They come out throwing. Now on second down, Bortles going to drop off the screen pass to Johnson, and he will pick up a yard to the 31. Wrapped up quickly by Orion Johnson coming up from the secondary. Storm Johnson, one of the top running back recruits coming out of high school in the 2010 class. Touched it 9 times at Miami before leaving and making the move to Orlando. And now 3rd down on the first possession of the game for UCF. Bortles gets it underneath for the completion. And the quick whistle, a penalty flag before that pass left Bortles' hand. There's movement up front.
72 on the offense. 5-yard penalty.
Torian Wilson with the false start, and I think that's the Ohio State crowd going to take credit for that one, making some noise.
Absolutely, Beth. It's early in the game. 105,000 people in the stadium. UCF, the biggest crowd they've played in front of. You're going to get a little bit of that early in the game. You're going to have to get those jitters out if you're going to want to be successful.
Quincy McDuffie, Rennell Hall in it wide out along with Wharton. And now it's 3rd and 9 instead of 3rd and 4. Out of the backfield, Storm Johnson. Cut down quickly by Travis Howard, who held on to the ankle. And the punting unit will come on for the Knights as the Ohio State defense holds on the first possession of the game.
That's where the 5-yard penalty hurt you, Beth. It was 3rd and 5 or so. They get a 5-yard penalty, turns into 3rd and long. Defensively, you can sit back. You can give up the underneath throw, let them get a catch underneath, and let Howard come up and make that kind of tackle, and now they have to punt the ball.
Travis Howard, the senior from Miami, the injured Buckeye. He had a couple of interceptions in the win last weekend. And he just made that last tackle, and he is the Ohio State player a little slow to get up. See if he's going to get hit on the tackle, trying to trip up Johnson. No, must have been on the initial contact. Had his bell rung a little bit. You see him shaking that head, working on the neck. And now Jamie Boyle will punt it away. Corey Philly Brown is the deep man for the Buckeyes at his own 35-yard line. Brown coming near side, makes the fair catch, and will let it head out of bounds around the 30-yard line for Ohio State. And Braxton Miller, who set an Ohio State quarterback rushing record last week with 161 yards, breaking the old record set by Cornelius Green back in 1974. Had a couple of passing touchdowns and that spectacular 65-yard run early in the second half. Setting his sights on a UCF defense that was stingy last week in their opening win. Carlos Hyde is the offset back. And the receiver screen complete for the first down to Philly Brown. How about our impact players for the Buckeyes?
For Ohio State, look for running back Carlos Hyde to get about 20 touches today, whether those are runs or passes. In the middle, Jonathan Hankins, the big guy with the rare combination of size and quickness, and then Travis Howard outside, 2 interceptions last week.
Quickly to the line for the Buckeyes. They got off 86 plays in their win last week over Miami. 538 yards. Both those numbers well above anything that the Buckeye offense mustered last year. And to give right up the middle to the fullback, Zach Bourne, following the block of Andrew Norwell. Another healthy pickup on first down. Again, Braxton Miller will check to the sideline on 2nd down and 2. I'll try Bourne again. Runs right into Plummer at midfield, close to that first down marker.
This offense the last 7 years has averaged 69 plays a game. They got 86 last week. That lets you know how coach is trying to pick up the pace, get more plays, keep his athletes on the field, run as much offense as you possibly can.
They do pick up the first down yardage. Urban Meyer told us yesterday when we met with them, this game will be won at the line of scrimmage. They won that last battle there for short yardage. Hyde goes in motion. To the air for Miller, and the catch again made this time by Devin Smith. A.J. Bouye on the coverage. Joey, one of the things the Buckeyes wanted to do was get out to a much better start this weekend. 4 drives and 4 punts in the first quarter last week.
Yeah, as a goal, they would like to score in these first 4 drives, and they're starting off really good so far. 2 completions for Miller, nice easy throws. I think those are throws that can get your quarterback on track. You've seen UCF do the same thing with Bortles. Nice easy 5-yard throws, get a quarterback on track.
A couple of tight ends with Spencer and Brown to the near side. Hyde went the wrong way, and Braxton Miller will improv and pick up the first down yardage. Victor Gray with the tackle, a gain of 8, and Miller made that happen all on his own.
And that's where Miller is special. The play breaks down, miscommunication does not matter. He's that type of athlete, can still make a positive gain out of a bad play.
Offensive coordinator Tom Herman called that bailout in chaos, and that's one of Braxton Miller's best features. The delivery this time to Hyde, who bounces off one tackle, picks up a couple on this first drive of the game for the Buckeyes. And it has been a bit on the quiet side thus far. Sort of wait and see for Buckeye fans after that comment made by Coach O'Leary this week.
Very quiet, Beth, but Ohio State's on offense. You're going to get a little quieter crowd. We need to hear Braxton Miller clap his hands and start the play.
And a whistle and a timeout for the Buckeyes. It looked like they had a personnel issue. We'll take the timeout with them. 9:42 to go early in Columbus. Welcome back to Ohio State. Mirror Lake. And scoreless start so far. Central Florida coming up empty on their first possession. Ohio State now on the move. Beth Mullins, along with Ohio State grad Joey Galloway. The Kangaroo Court already given you a quarter fine for mentioning we earlier on, Joey. But your impression so far of what we're seeing from Braxton Miller?
Couple completions. I think offensively the coordinator's doing a great job on both sides. Making short passes, 5 yards, screen plays. You get those early completions as a quarterback. It gets the jitters out of your system. You get your rhythm going. The rest of the game gets a lot smoother.
Braxton Miller going to keep it. He's got a ton of room right up the middle. Braxton Miller taking it to the house for the Buckeyes. 37-yard touchdown scamper.
Braxton Miller, again, special with his feet. He's a tremendous athlete. You give him that kind of room, Beth, and there's nothing you can do. He gets a full running start right up the middle of the defense. No one touches him. Watch his speed. Watch the middle of this defense open up. He goes right through the middle, not a hand on him. He gets a full head of steam coming at you as a defensive back, Beth. There's not much you can do to stop him.
Had the long rushing touchdown last week and another one today for Braxton Miller. Drew Basil for the extra point. He's got it. And Ohio State, after the slow start on opening day last Saturday, much better in the first quarter here today, and the quick score. Let's send it down to the field now, and Lewis Johnson.
All right, Beth, thanks so much. What a great atmosphere we have down here on the field. And since Urban Meyer came to Ohio State, he has made a huge effort to draw the athletes and the fans into this experience, especially during game day. Check out what happened right before the game, before we came on the air. The students were involved in what's called quick cals, in other words, quick calisthenics. This was taught to them last week, and they're now leading the team through these calisthenic programs, which will happen every home game at Ohio Stadium. I went up in the stands before the game and talked to one student, a senior, and he said, you know, it's new for us, but we're happy that Urban Meyer wants us to be a part of it. And one young lady told me she feels like Urban Meyer is her coach too. They're having fun.
Thank you very much, Lewis. Well, Urban Meyer, even himself admitting to some emotional moments last week. Of course, he started out here in his coaching career at Ohio State. He's born and bred in the state of Ohio, and he said there were some really good moments coming back home last week in his first time back on the Buckeye sideline.
There's no way to avoid those emotions, Beth. And the people that like to compete, they enjoy those emotions. They live in that moment. They look forward to it.
Drew Basil going to kick it away. And Quincy McDuffie, he's going to go ahead and bring it out from halfway into the end zone. McDuffie with a nice couple of cuts. And McDuffie out across the 30 to the 34-yard line. And a couple of helmets coming off on the return. And there was also a penalty flag down. It took Jamie Wood a while to find his helmet.
21 on the taking team. Participating without his helmet, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, one of the new rules this year, once your helmet comes off, you are not allowed to continue in the play. You have to stop. And after the helmet comes off, Wood, there you see, getting back on his feet to try and make the tackle. And that's a no-no this year with the new rule. And a personal foul penalty against the Buckeyes.
That's an instinctive play, and it's going to take time for a guy to realize I cannot continue to play. We're told to go till the whistle blows.
Second time out there today now for the UCF offense, and Blake Bortles. And a flag and a whistle and another false start. That's the second already.
64 on the offense.
This time it's on Justin McCray.
This UCF team had 2 penalties all of last week in the entire game. They're not used to being penalized as a team. That's too early on. Maybe it's the jitters. The crowd hasn't been that loud so far, but you're still at Ohio Stadium. You're still playing in front of 105,000 people.
About a handful of the starters were with UCF in 2009 when they played at Texas. That's the nearest they've come to a situation like this, as Johnson gets the carry out across the 45. Now to the studio and Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. Just a snapshot of other games across our ESPN networks. Penn State trying to bounce back after a season-opening loss to Ohio. At Virginia on ABC, and on ESPN, Auburn on the road at Mississippi State.
Thank you, Wendy. 7-0 Buckeyes. A touchdown scamper from Braxton Miller. And some good field position here after the penalty for UCF. And a quick hitter across midfield. Quincy McDuffie with the grab. And here's what's coming up tonight on ESPN and ESPN2. First at 7 o'clock, Washington at LSU. And then Georgia and Missouri, 7:45 on ESPN2. The debut for Missouri in the SEC. Both games are also available live on the Watch ESPN app. 3rd and 4. Looking right, takes a hit, and incomplete. On the ball out to McDuffie. Some good heat coming from Noah Spence to force Bortles' hand.
Noah Spence on the delayed blitz. Did not look like he was coming. After the snap, quarterback turns his back. Spence comes off the right side of the defense, but that's a ball that Bortles has got to complete. 3rd and short, they got to convert those if offensively they want to stay in this game.
Billy Brown back at his own 10-yard line here for the Buckeyes. And the fair catch made at the 12-yard line. That's where Ohio State will have it after the 34-yard punt from Jamie Boyle. It turned into a nice day here in Columbus. A 7-0 Ohio State lead.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5-Hour Energy. Hours and hours of energy. And in part by Ally Bank. Your money needs an ally. And AT&T, the nation's largest 4G network. AT&T, rethink possible.
We'll take you inside the classroom. Chemistry 1210 with Dr. Foose here at Ohio State. Everything computerized. He puts all his lectures online. So you actually listen to his lecture before you come to class, then you get to do fun stuff like that. Like
Beth, you seem like you would listen to a lecture before you came to class. I mean, you just come across as that kind of person that would say, give it to me twice. I want it before I get there and then when I show up.
If I was in class today with computers as opposed to the old card catalog, I might have been able to pull that off. The Buckeyes scored on their first drive, and here they go again from inside their own 15-yard line. And Carlos Hyde with the carry. The junior out of Naples, Florida, had a couple of short rushing touchdowns last week. He continues to get the starting nod in the backfield. Jordan Hall is still out with a foot injury, did not play last week. Not dressing again today. And Miller again going to try and make something out of nothing, and does, and able to get out of bounds at the 27-yard line, and that'll move the chains.
Coach Meyer talked about the amount of times they want Braxton Miller to run the ball to be around 15 to 17 total carries in a game. And you can see with his feet, he is special. Change direction, makes a guy miss in the hole. And once that happens, when you have him contained, he makes a guy miss. He's dangerous in the secondary.
13 more yards from Miller. This time it's Hyde. And Hyde out to the 35-yard line. How about an update from Wendy Nix?
Beth, thank you. It's a Taco Bell studio update. Miami making its first trip to Manhattan, Kansas, but Kansas stayed on the board first thanks to Colin Klein, who led the FBS in rushing touchdowns last season for quarterbacks. 7-0 K-State.
Thank you very much. Hyde with another short gain. Well, there's Colin Klein. He had a couple of passing touchdowns last week for Kansas State. Now doing it with the feet. Troy Davis on the tackle for UCF. And one of the important things, obviously for any team that's an underdog coming on the road, the coaches told us how critical it would be for them to hang close early and not let the Buckeyes get too far out. No bunch, 3 wide receivers left. And now Philly Brown into the backfield. Play action. Good pressure coming right up the middle. A flag on the play as Braxton Miller goes down, sacked by Victor Gray.
UCF and his defense talked about wanting to get more pressure on Braxton Miller, not allow him to stand in the back and get comfortable in the pocket.
Holding, 79 on the offense. 10-yard penalty, first down.
Good push there by Victor Gray. UCF, the coaches really like the size of this front line. And Gray blowing right by Hall.
That happens when an offensive lineman gets confused on who he has to block, sees the rusher coming late, tries to turn. Natural instincts are to grab a hold. Every time they get their hands outside the body frame of the defense, it's a holding call.
Buckeyes going 5 wide on 1st and 20. Quickly out of his hand, Miller to Brown to the 32-yard line.
Footwork for Braxton Miller is something that when they talk Braxton Miller, we need to see, can he throw the ball better? Footwork, footwork, footwork is what they preach to Braxton. They love his delivery. They love his arm motion. They got to work on his feet. Some of the drills they've worked on to make him a better thrower.
Now on 2nd down, Miller. Bryante Dunn, the true freshman, joining him in the backfield. Dunn with the carry. Big hole up the middle across the 40 and diving out to the 45-yard line. Setting up a 3rd and short. 13 yards on the gain for Dunn, following Corey Lindsley up front.
One of the many freshmen that play for Ohio State now. A big running back. Another big guy that can get up through the middle in between the tackles and get those tough yards.
Miller needs to get out across the 48 for the first down, and it looks like the nice play by Terrence Plummer was able to hold him a yard shy.
UCF defensively is doing a terrific job of bringing a lot of people to the party. When they're tackling Miller, when they're tackling guys in the backfield, there's 6 or 7 defenders there keeping him contained. He can't get out.
Buckeye is going to go on 4th and 1. Miller designed run all the way, and he is cut down by Jonathan Davis.
Jonathan Davis led UCF in tackles for loss last season, Beth. You can see why. He's a tremendous athlete, reads the play, and shoots after the ball.
Stands just 5'9", does Jonathan Davis, but terrific leverage coming off the edge and able to take out the legs of Braxton Miller as the Knights hold on 4th down.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Big defensive play here by Jonathan Davis and UCF on 4th down.
Jonathan Davis makes a terrific play, but he was unblocked, Beth. You've seen the offensive linemen pulling around. They didn't look like they blocked the right guys and left Davis alone to shoot in and make the tackle.
And Jonathan's got to be careful to keep that helmet on. He could have been flagged for a penalty, the celebration there at the end. Anyway, UCF with the big defensive play, and now for the second time in this quarter, some very good field position in Ohio State territory, and it's Storm Johnson bowling his way inside the 40-yard line and to the 35. Oh, and you see now the emotion on the UCF side. Talking with the coaches and players the other day, Joey, they were not fearful at all of coming in here. In fact, quite confident that they could get the job done today.
Jordan Ray, the center, said, look, we're on scholarship just like they're on scholarship. Their attitude is, let's come in, play our game, and we can beat Ohio State in Ohio Stadium.
Bortles going to give it to Johnson. He runs into Sabino along with Goebel down at the bottom there. A short pickup. Storm Johnson was one of the most heralded running backs coming out of high school a few years ago. In fact, he was ranked number 3 on the ESPN 150 behind Michael Dyer and Marcus Lattimore. Of course, Dyer winning a national championship at Auburn. Lattimore in the Heisman hunt this year, back from the injury for South Carolina. Things didn't work out with the Hurricanes, so now Storm Johnson getting the start today. And underneath, the catch made by the former starting quarterback, Jeff Godfrey. Pickup of 9.
It's going to be important for UCF to stay in these 3rd and shorts. They need to gain yards on 1st and 2nd down to stay out of the 3rd and long. You get in those 3rd and long situations, Ohio State can dial up the blitzes. They can mix in their coverage, do some different things. At 3rd and short, now UCF has their choice, run or pass. There's a lot of different plays and a lot of different ways you can gain 1 yard in your offense.
Bortles, he's going to keep. Gets to the 25-yard line, and the spot looks good enough for the 1st down yardage. Curtis Grant with the tackle. And it is 1st down Knights.
Beth, there's a lot of seniors on this UCF team. They're used to playing. They're calm, they're collected. You can tell in their attitude when you talk to them, they don't mind the pressure. Almost as if they felt disrespected when you asked them questions about coming here, playing in front of this kind of crowd on national TV. Their attitude is great when you talk to them.
Johnson, the lone setback. Wharton, the motion man. And quickly out to Godfrey, and he's going to throw it the other way, looking for the end zone, and a penalty flag down at the goal line on the coverage of Travis Howard on J.J. Wharton. And as we mentioned a moment ago, Jeff Godfrey is a former quarterback making the throw down to the end zone.
Pass interference. The defense. The 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Beth, when you have quarterbacks playing wide receiver, you know that they are dual threat guys. They can catch the ball, but they can also pass the ball. Quick shot out to the left to Godfrey. Pass to the end zone. I mean, when you have a quarterback, not only do they play receiver and they know the offense so well because they've done it from the quarterback position, but they're also dual threat throwing passes. You have got to respect the receivers when the quarterbacks have the ball in their hand.
And they've got not 1 but 2 former quarterbacks playing wide receiver today. Neither in the game right now. Johnson taking the handoff. A couple of hard-fought yards to the 7-yard line. Garrett Goebel with the tackle. UCF talked about missed opportunities, Joey, when they watched Miami game tape against Ohio State. They think they can cash in on some of those, and here's their first chance.
Absolutely. Inside the red zone, this offensive line is holding their own versus this very tough defensive line from Ohio State so far. Then they've been able to get the tough yards inside.
Including the McCray twins, Jordan and Justin, on that right side of the O-line. That's where Johnson is headed, loses his footing back out at the 11-yard line.
This sets up the 3rd and long, Beth, and we just talked about it a little bit. 3rd and long versus a tough defense. There aren't many plays in your playbook to get 10, 11 yards, and it gets only tougher inside the red zone because your defensive backs don't have to back up that far. This is a dangerous territory for Bortles and this UCF offense. Not make a mistake. You want to get points on the board. You'd love to get a touchdown, but do not make a crucial mistake and take your opportunity to score out of the board.
Bortles on 3rd and goal. The snap incomplete on the coverage. Orion Johnson got a hand in there to break it up, and now it's 4th down. Their place kicker, Sean Moffitt, he kicked a lot of PATs in their win last week, but he did not attempt a field goal. And it looks like this will be his first opportunity of the year as he trots on. Moffitt will get set up on that right hash mark. And a 28-yard attempt. And Moffitt splits the uprights. Central Florida on the board, 7-3. Buckeyes with the lead. Let's check in with Wendy.
Beth, thank you. We check in on Penn State at Virginia. This game on ABC. Matt McGloin to Kyle Carter. His first career touchdown, and the Nittany Lions on the board leading Virginia 7-0. Meanwhile, Kansas State has scored again. Colin Klein with his 2nd rushing touchdown this afternoon, leading Miami 14-0.
Thank you, Wendy. Well, UCF able to take advantage of that big stop on 4th down, and they get points on the board. Let's check in now with Lewis Johnson.
You may remember a few moments ago after that 4th and 1 stop by the Central Florida defense, when they came to the sideline, their defensive lineman, Victor Gray, was really the one leading that emotional charge as the coaches worked the grease board, trying to figure out how they could continue that good defense. And an interesting fact, here in Ohio Stadium with all these folks, the folks sitting behind the Central Florida bench were very quiet. Beth?
That's been a lot of fun for the fans over the course of the last couple of days, going back and forth about how loud it is or isn't here at Ohio Stadium. A 7-3 lead for the Buckeyes, and the kickoff headed in the direction of Devin Smith. He's going to bring it out of the end zone, hurdling a couple of guys out to the 26-yard line. Now with 5 seconds to go in the first quarter, Joey, you've played an awful lot here at Ohio Stadium. What are your thoughts on the loudness factor?
You know what, Beth? I have found that it depends on who you're playing against. I mean, there were games when we played when Michigan comes to town, when Washington came for a night game. I mean, the crowd was nuts and you couldn't hear anything. Today, Coach O'Leary is right. So far in this game, the crowd has not been very loud.
Braxton Miller gave them something to cheer about earlier with a 37-yard touchdown run, and now is going to drop it off to Jeff Hireman, the tight end, for a 9-yard gain. Terrence Plummer with the tackle to end the first quarter here at the Horseshoe. 7-3. Buckeyes with the lead over the Knights. You're watching college football on ESPN, presented by 5-Hour Energy. 7-3 our score here at Ohio Stadium. That solitary police officer standing up there in the end zone. That's about how high our press box location is, Joey, when we talk about how much noise or lack thereof there is.
Coach O'Leary talked about the lack of noise. We can actually hear Braxton Miller clap his hands where we are up here in the press box. Let you know it's pretty quiet here in this stadium today.
We are a long ways away. The binoculars a necessity, and Braxton Miller, there you can hear the clap once, twice today. Often it was just once last week, and Miller with a designed run. Upended outside the 40-yard line following Marcus Hall, a gain of 6. Ray Shipman with the tackle, the 5th-year senior linebacker for UCF, a former basketball star at the University of Florida. Evan Spencer with the catch. He's out to the 47-yard line. That'll set up a 3rd and 3. Well, today on ESPN, Texas A&M making their SEC debut. They'll be at Kyle Field along with the 12th man and new Aggie coach Kevin Sumlin. And this is Carlos Hyde on the carry. May have gotten one. Good pursuit there by Clayton Gether, so it's going to be 3rd and short.
UCF's defense can only hope that Carlos Hyde decides to go in the middle and bounce one to the outside. That's not his game. Quickness is not his best attribute. He's a big guy, run between the tackles, get the positive yards, and get ready for next down.
Defensive coordinator Jim Fleming overseeing an entirely new defensive coaching staff. After George O'Leary was disappointed in their inability to finish games, to close out games last year, he made wholesale changes on the defensive side. Hyde, and he's got a couple of defenders right there waiting for him, and he is stopped short of that first down. Terrence Plummer and Troy Gray got to him quickly.
Big decision here, Beth. Now, last time it was 4th and 1 in this area, Ohio State went for it. We'll see what Coach Urban Meyer decides to do this time. They got stopped, gave UCF short field, and they scored a field goal off of it.
Last time they called Braxton Miller's number and he was cut down. This time they'll go with the bulkier option in Carlos Hyde, and a pickup of 6 to move the sticks.
But if you have Carlos Hyde in your backfield and you have this offensive line, the size of these guys, you would think that anytime you need 3rd and 1, you run right in the middle, right over your center, Corey Lindsley. We should be able to get 1 yard anytime we need to in the middle.
That's what you're saying if you're on the Buckeye sideline, with Brown joining Hyde now in the backfield. Miller, he's got all day back there to look around, and he catches Stoneburner coming across the middle to the 36-yard line.
This play is a sign of a maturing quarterback. Beth stands in the pocket. His initial receiver is covered, goes to the 2nd level, comes to the 3rd, completes a ball.
Braxton Miller 7 of 7 in the air, and they'll go back to the ground. Hyde picking up the first down. We should mention too, Joey, this should be a highly motivated offensive line after a play in last week's game where they were unable to pick up 1 yard, down at the 1-yard line, and an inability to score a touchdown late in the first half is what Urban Meyer said was probably the most disappointing play of their big win on opening day. And they've been hearing about dominating that line of scrimmage all week long. On first down, the reverse to Brown, and a nice cutback. Has first down yardage inside the 15 to the 12.
Brown is the best skill guy for Ohio State. If they need a big play out of the receiving corps, he's the guy they go to. Look, it's a receiver versus a defensive end, linebacker type, out in the open field. You expect the receiver to win that. Brown won that, got a nice game for the Ohio State offense.
That was Cam Henderson who forced him back inside, but Brown picking up 19 on the play. Buckeyes can get a first down here at the 2-yard line. Miller going to keep it. Diving to the 6. Wrapped up by Terrence Plummer coming from that middle linebacker spot. Buckeyes will quickly get back up to the line of scrimmage. Miller going to keep it again. This time nowhere to go. The Knights winning the battle on the edge on that right side. Kamal Ishmael, perhaps their best defender, making the play.
Ishmael leads this team in tackles all of last season and last week. He's a tackling machine. They expect him in open field to be able to make those tackles.
Senior, a 4-year starter, making the play. This is the 12th play of the drive here for the Buckeyes. They started out on their own 26-yard line. Third and 5. They're trying to change things up, and the play clock winding down to 0, but the Buckeyes just do get the timeout in time. That is their 2nd. With 10-13 to go here in the first half and a 7-3 lead. Back here at Ohio Stadium, the Buckeyes leading UCF 7-3. An extended drive here for Ohio State. Braxton Miller has one touchdown run, and now OSU 3rd and 5 from inside the 10. The 13th play of the drive. Miller thinking about the air, eludes the rush. Braxton Miller on the move to the end zone, incomplete. Broken up by A.J. Bouye.
This is a dangerous throw, Beth. You're rolling out to your left as a right-hand quarterback and throw back across your body, Beth. This is a dangerous throw in the end zone. Bad things could have happened here. Carlos Hyde doesn't feel very good about that play, but again, incomplete pass. They still have a chance to get 3 points out of it. That's a successful drive.
24-yarder here for Drew Basil. And he's got the field goal through. Under 10 minutes to go here in the first half, and a 10-3 lead for Ohio State today at the Horseshoe.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Lexus, introducing a stunning work of technology, the entirely new Lexus ES. Dr. Pepper, always one of a kind. And Kingsford Charcoal and Walmart Choice Premium Steaks, who encourage you to tailgate at home this season.
Well, it's one of the most popular athletic programs in the country for fans, and why not? It's one of the best places to get to from just about anywhere in the nation. 50% of the U.S. population within 500 miles of the Columbus area. If you expand it out to 600 miles, you'd also pull in about half of the Canadian population that can get to Columbus for the Buckeyes. They're up 10-3 after the Basil field goal. 9:58 to go in the first half, and UCF anxious to get back at it. Renell Hall out across the 20. And it'll be wrapped up at the 22-yard line. Of course, the other big story for both of these programs, neither side presently will be available to play in the postseason. For UCF, they are appealing a one-year postseason ban. They are also looking at a reduction of scholarships, recruiting restrictions. Their former wide receiver coach, David Kelly, has departed. Their former athletic director has also departed in the wake of this investigation. There is a one-year ban in the postseason for the men's basketball team as well, but George O'Leary in the athletic department fighting the football ban. And Bortles to Storm Johnson out of the backfield, and he breaks a couple of tackles. And Johnson out across the 40-yard line, picking up the first down, run out by C.J. Barnett. 20 yards on the gain. George O'Leary told us, Joey, he's only brought it up once to his team. They fully expect to play 14 games this year, 12 regular season, a Conference USA championship, and a bowl game.
They do, and they feel like there's nothing that they can do about it as a team. So let's just focus on playing football. He said he will give them the information as he gets it. As of now, he doesn't have anything else to give them.
The appeal process is underway. And on a handoff again, Storm Johnson down the sideline. Stays in bounds to the 10-yard line, caught by C.J. Barnett. And a run of 48 yards for Johnson.
Storm Johnson brings the big playability to this offense. Watch him avoid going out of bounds, turns this corner, keeps it tight, and turns this into a big play. Christian Bryant, third leading tackler on this defense last season for Ohio State, has got to find a way to make that tackle. He was unblocked, Beth. This defense expects him to make that play, and if he doesn't, then Storm Johnson can reel off these big runs. Great footwork, stand in bounds, shoulders upfield. Big run for UCF, again in scoring position. Storm
Johnson will take a breather after the long run. Bryn Harvey in the backfield with Bortles, and he'll get the touch. And he runs right into Ryan Shazier, who's waiting for him. Second and goal. Well, our first glimpse at Storm Johnson. We talked about This youngster who started out his career at Miami was one of the top running back recruits in the nation coming out of high school. And his big gainers setting up the Knights.
Second down, key down in this drive, Beth. They have got to get positive yards to keep third down in a short situation. Last time, third and long, they were not able to convert in the red zone, ended up with a field goal.
Bortles, good protection, fires inside the 5 to Reese with the catch, and a flag down on the near side. Josh Reese, the sophomore from Miami, with the grab. Got it spotted right now at the 2-yard line.
Holding, defense. Penalty be half the distance, second down.
The blitz pickup by Bryn Harvey, the running back to the left side, picking up Sabino's blitz, standing on. I mean, that is going to be key for Bortles and his offense. If Bortles can stand in the pocket, look over this defense, he can find open guys. Blitz pickup is important, especially as your running backs. This is a veteran team, and you expect offensively when they bring blitzes, they calmly, everyone block their guy, running back, linebacker matchup. You expect that when the blitz comes. Great pickup.
Blake Bortles will take the timeout for UCF, trying to tie it up in the horseshoe. Back here at Ohio State, let's check out that last play, Joey.
Beth, we talked a little bit about blitz pickup, Beth. When you look at Bryn Harvey, the running back, he has got to stop C.J. Barnett on this blitzer, protect Bortles, and allow him to stand in the pocket and deliver this ball out to the right.
Fickle trying to shore up that defensive unit, the coordinator for the Buckeyes. Ohio State 4 penalties, 44 yards here in the first half, and UCF knocking on the door, 2nd and goal. Harvey, the deep back in the eye, and he will get the call. Bryn Harvey running into Bryant at the 2-yard line.
Third and short situation, going into the red zone. Again, Beth, this allows your offense to run or pass. Right there, UCF gets in a power formation. They run towards the big tight end, number 88, Chris Martin, 290 pounds, gain a yard or two. Now, offensively, they have the option to do whatever they want to do. I think they'll run it, Beth.
Play action. The throw into the end zone for the touchdown. Justin Tukes wide open. They didn't run it, Joey, but the play action was good enough to suck in the defense.
Which is why the play worked. Ohio State apparently thought that they would run the ball also. Out of that power formation, this is why the run game is so important for UCF, because it sets up the play action. Play action passing is what they do well, and it's because they run the ball. You've seen the long run by Storm Johnson to set those kind of plays up where you can go play action.
Both Shazier and Grant came up to stop the run, and neither of the backers followed Justin Tukes. And UCF ties it up at 10 here in the 2nd quarter. And George O'Leary and company keeping the noise level to a minimum here at the Horseshoe this afternoon. In his 9th season at Georgia Tech. And a lot of folks down in Central Florida think this is probably the biggest season in UCF history. Disappointment last year after they had won Conference USA the year before. All kinds of turmoil and sanctions off the field in the postseason. Now they're the Conference USA favorites this year before heading to the Big East next season. And that 11-3 record back in 2010, including a Liberty Bowl win against Georgia, the only bowl victory in school history. They've only been an FBS program for the last 15 years, and they are trying to work today on what would be the biggest win in school history. On the kickoff, And that one will go out of bounds. And some good field position coming up here for the Buckeyes as we take a look at our Saturday menu, brought to you by Applebee's. And Joey, what is particularly appetizing from that menu?
Be interesting to see if Syracuse can bounce back after a tough loss to Northwestern last week. USC coming to town. They're coming all the way east. We'll find out what kind of team they have. You heard great things about their offense at USC. Let's see what kind of defense they have when they have to go against Ryan Nassib at Syracuse.
I think Matt Barkley and Marquise Lee both want to go back to New York in December, too, for the Heisman Trophy presentation. They might try and put up some big numbers under the bright lights of the big city. Bryante Dunn, along with Brown in the backfield, and it is the keeper from Miller. No gain. Let's send it to Wendy Nix.
So here, Dylan Thompson to Demir Bird, 53-yard, brings it to the Gamecocks 6-yard line, and then Marcus Lattimore, back from his ACL, 110 yards last week, takes it in, 14-0 Gamecocks.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Well, the pistol here for Braxton Miller on that second clap with a give to Boring, and again stuffed at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and long coming up. Troy Davis with the stop. And the Knights of UCF definitely inspired by the scoreboard right now.
The defense of Jim Fleming has a nice little rhythm going right now, Beth. We always talk rhythm on offense, but defenses and defensive coordinators, they also get into a rhythm. They're feeling pretty good right now. Let's see what they can do on this 3rd and long.
Setting up for the 3-man rush for UCF. 4 wideouts for Braxton Miller. Miller looking in the direction of Philly Brown the whole way. They're now going to tuck it and go with it. And takes a hit on the sideline, and he was going to be a yard short of the 1st down. And Jonathan Davis may have just given it to him with a late hit.
Personal foul. 11 on the defense. 15-yard penalty. 1st down.
Instead of getting possession, possibly, they keep Braxton Miller on the field.
Beth, again, another penalty for UCF. These are not the kind of plays that UCF is used to, especially on the defensive side of the ball. George O'Leary, a great defensive coach. Jim Fleming, defensively, they do not get penalties. That's a huge one there when they had a chance to put Ohio State into a 4th and short situation where they had success earlier in the half.
Boy, that's the same guy, Jonathan Davis, who made the huge play on 4th down earlier in the game. And the miscue there, and Braxton Miller, after that hit on the sideline, is not in at quarterback. Kenny Guyton was out there. Braxton Miller's helmet came off on the late hit, had to sit out a play.
Again, the helmet off rule, there were 26 helmets off in the Big Ten last week. Again, we see one here. These are big moments in games where guys are losing their helmet and have to miss a play. You call in your backup quarterback who has to come in cold and run a play because your helmet came off.
Snap coming again on the second clap, and a fumble. Ball is down, Boring lost it, and UCF recovers the turnover. E.J. Dunston knocked it out. Kamal Ishmael picked it up. And for a team that struggled to take it away last year, that is already their 5th takeaway of the season.
Bourne, your fullback, has got to squeeze this ball. There's nothing more important offensively than the football itself. Doesn't have it, doesn't have both arms on the ball. Ball comes loose. Another huge play for the UCF defense. Now let's see if this offense can keep the momentum on their side.
Scored a touchdown on their last possession, and Blake Bortles throwing it out into the flat to Quincy McDuffie. And a lot of work for McDuffie to pick up a pair out to the 45. Now the turnover going to the Knights. They forced 4 last week, excuse me, 3 fumbles and an interception. All of last season, they only had 15 takeaways. And that was one of the reasons why George O'Leary turned over his entire coaching staff. Said, that's not good enough. We have to have playmakers on both sides of the ball. He got one here in the first half. E.J. Dunston forcing the fumble. And after the turnover, the crowd now starting to make some noise, and it's intercepted as the Buckeyes get it right back off of the deflection. Travis Howard with his 3rd INT in the first game and a half.
Travis Howard seems to be Johnny on the spot so far in these first 2 games for Ohio State. His 3rd interception. Seems to be in the right place at the right time. When the ball's tipped in the air, Travis Howard has been the guy to make the play. Again, I just spoke about if UCF offensively can keep the momentum going, this was a key point in this game. They turn it over. Now we'll see what happens.
Tipped by Orion Johnson into the midst of Travis Howard, even at 10 in Columbus. Back here in Columbus, 3:18 to go in the first half. Central Florida even with Ohio State. Let's get down to the field and Lewis Johnson.
Well, Beth, some significant developments here on the Ohio State bench area. A few moments ago when all those turnovers are going back and forth, in came their junior tailback Carlos Hyde, came to the bench area. They put him down, put ice on the right knee, and when you see a player's hands go up over their head, it shows that they're concerned. Now, Ohio State's policies, they do not release injury information, but Hyde now on the bench with the ice pack. Beth?
Thank you, Lewis. They are without a tailback on this play, but Philly Brown, the wideout, lines up in the backfield and picks up the first down. 14 yards on the gain as Hyde puts the towel on the head. Never a good sign for an injured player on the side. We're approaching 3 minutes to go here in the first half, and now it's Bryonte Dunn, the true freshman out of Canton, in the backfield. And movement from Bourne on the left side, the fullback, with Victor Gray coming across.
False start. 74 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well, we got a couple of games for you on ABC and ESPN today. Matt Barkley and the Trojans going to New Jersey to take on Syracuse. And Arnold Robinson trying to get Michigan back on track after the opening day loss to Alabama. They will face Air Force up at the Big House. Both games available nationally on ABC or ESPN2. Check your local listings. It's afternoon football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. After the 5-yard penalty, 1st and 15, Miller to the air. Devin Smith gets it inside the 30, wrapped up by Bouye and Ishmael. That's the first catch today for Devin, who had that spectacular touchdown grab, the acrobatic one-hander in the end zone last week. The give to Bourne. He's about a yard shy of the first down marker. I want to try and get his confidence back after the fumble on his last touch. Let's take you back to last week, and Devin Smith, the first touchdown of the year for the Buckeyes, a memorable one, Joey.
Tremendous catch. Big hand receiver, can always scoop the ball, cup it with his hand, and bring it down.
Kamal Ishmael securing Miller at the 24-yard line, very close to the marker, all the way across the field, and the officials will want to bring the chains on to check it. Randy Smith, our referee today. For a couple of teams that both put up 50 points or more in their season opener. Obviously a bit of a step up in competition for both sides. A touchdown and a field goal apiece here in the first half.
I don't think either team expected to put up 56 points coming in. Now, they would like to, but I think they both knew that these defenses were better than that.
Miller able to get the nose of the ball across, and a first down for the Buckeyes. Good news short term, but long term, that's not a good sight for Buckeye fans. Starting tailback Carlos Hyde with the right knee wrapped in ice is headed down the Ohio State sideline for some more treatment.
With Jordan Hall already missing from this Ohio State offense at the running back position.
Both players on the field on the offense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
You now lose Carlos Hyde. You start to get a little thin at the running back position. Breonte Dunn, a freshman, will get a lot of playing time. We may see Bourne run the ball a little more. We saw him put it on the ground earlier. He's got a number of carries already today. But the depth chart at running back is getting very thin now, Beth.
As Hyde departs, that is now the 6th penalty of this first half for the Buckeyes. Option right, Miller keeps, and he is buried back at the 31. A loss of a couple. Great pursuit from Troy Davis to catch him from the backside.
If you're going to try to stop the option, every defender has got to take their man and stick with their man. Do your job. Don't get nosy. The guy that's supposed to tackle the quarterback, have an extra guy for the running back, and that's how you stop the option.
5 wide for the Buckeyes on 2nd and long. Miller stepping up, throwing it deep, and overthrows his intended target, Philly Brown. 3rd and long coming up, but first, Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. Coming up on the Discover Card halftime report, South Carolina quarterback Connor Shaw is out today with a bruised shoulder. Penn State looking to bounce back at Virginia, and our Saturday setup features 2 schools making their debut in the Southeastern Conference. I'm joined by Robert and Todd. We'll see you at the half.
We're looking forward to that Wednesday. Wendy, Missouri, and Texas A&M debuting in the SEC. And on 3rd down, it's Miller, the keeper all the way, and he's got the first down and more inside the 10 to the 6. 1st and goal, Buckeyes, and a 24-yard run. With a hit by Clayton Geathers, and Miller slow to get up.
Interesting call here by offense coordinator Tom Herman, but when you have Braxton Miller, probably the best athlete in the building today, can make a play with his feet. His 13th carry already, Beth, here in the first half, already has 100 yards.
Yeah, their second, 30 seconds.
The timeout called by the Knights. Jim Fleming and George O'Leary wanting to make sure all their ducks are in a row.
If this defense does not slow down Braxton Miller before he gets to the secondary, there's not much they're going to be able to do to stop him. That's a 3rd and long in the red zone. Defensively, you don't have that much area to cover, so you would think that someone in the secondary would be able to keep their eyes on Braxton Miller, and they didn't there. And that is a huge defensive breakdown by UCF, and you don't usually see that from Jim Fleming and George O'Leary coached defenses.
21 seconds to go in the first half, and George O'Leary and this defensive unit trying to keep it tied, headed into the locker room. 1 timeout left for Ohio State. We're on 1st and goal. Miller rolling left. Braxton Miller going to take it and score for the 2nd time tonight. Braxton Miller scoots in from 6 yards out. Job number 1 today was keep Braxton Miller in the pocket for UCF, and they don't get it done there.
UCF has not done a great job of doing that, especially not on that play. Terrence Plummer unblocked. The middle linebacker. Is going to be a tough matchup to try to chase down Braxton Miller to the end zone.
Buckeyes and Basil boot it through. Points off of the Howard interception around midfield as Miller punches it in for the 2nd time. Braxton Miller over on that sideline had 161 yards rushing in the season opener, and he's got over 100 again today in the first half on 14 carries and a couple of scores.
It's a little ahead of the scheduled 17 carries in the game, man.
his legs have been the best weapon for the Buckeyes, who may be without starting tailback Carlos Hyde the rest of the way. He's left with an injury. Back to Renell Hall, who had trouble picking it up off the turf. Taken down at the 16-yard line with 10 seconds to go in the half. How about that last run from 6 yards out?
He is special with his feet. You see 41, Terrence Plummer, linebacker, unblocked. Now it's just a foot race to the end zone. And there aren't many people defensively, especially in the front seven, that are going to be able to last with Braxton Miller in a foot race, especially to the corner when Braxton sees the end zone in front of him.
Bortles will just go ahead and take a knee, and UCF will head to the locker room down just a score, looking for their first ever win, non-conference ranked opponent. They've got the Buckeyes in their sights despite a couple of touchdown runs and over 100 yards rushing in this first half for Braxton Miller. And it's 17-10 Buckeyes at the half. Let's go down to Lewis.
All right, Beth, thanks very much. Well, Coach, you said that containing Braxton Miller would be one of your most difficult jobs today. Assess how you've done so far in this first half.
Obviously, we gave him some big plays, not containing when we had assignments there. Plus, we got to tackle better. Too much hidden yards on tackles, and we'll get that cleaned up. And offensively, just got to play smart. You know, I think that we got the ball back. We got to establish the run a little bit more.
You know, Coach, it seems to be predicted by you rather quiet in here. What do you think about the noise level in?
I'm not getting involved in that.
Oh, it's too late now. You're already in it.
Thank you much.
All right, thanks, Beth.
O'Leary and company within striking distance, but it's the Buckeyes in front, 17-10, and here is Wendy Nix in the studio. Braxton Miller wasn't the only one, but he was the most significant one in that first half. A couple of rushing touchdowns at Ohio State with the state capitol building nearby. The Horseshoe, Beth Mowens, along with former Ohio State Buckeye Joey Galloway, and Braxton Miller, 100 yards on the ground in that first half, Joey, including a couple of touchdowns. That's why he's in our Dave & Buster's playbook.
Beth, we talked earlier about the work that Tom Herman has done with Braxton Miller on his footwork, but we were talking in the passing game. His footwork needed to improve since this coaching staff got here in the passing game, Beth, but he has been special with his feet today in the run game. He has been basically the Ohio State offense with his feet. They have not been able to keep him in the pocket, which was the goal of this defense. He's run inside, he's run outside, he's got to the end zone. He's been the Ohio State offense here today.
And maybe even more so in the second half if Carlos Hyde, the starting tailback, cannot return from a first half injury. Miller set a new rushing record for an Ohio State quarterback last week with those 161 yards on the ground, and may threaten to set another one just a week later. The Buckeyes will receive here to start out this second half. George O'Leary, though, and the Knights have to feel pretty good. They ran half as many plays. They had the ball for 8 minutes less than the Buckeyes did in that first half. And save for that Miller score with under 20 seconds to play in the half, this would have been an even game. They have never beaten a non-conference ranked opponent in their 15 years in the FBS. And Smith will bring it out of the end zone, out across the 20 to the 24-yard line. That's a check down now on the field with Lewis Johnson.
All right, Beth, there. Thanks very much. Well, Urban Meyer, very businesslike when he came out of the locker room and out here onto the field. You know, you might not have thought that Braxton Miller had that great first half with the 2 rushing touchdowns because, again, there were the penalties on the yard. And frankly, he said he really wasn't happy about much in that first half. But the biggest news is that tailback Carlos Hyde will not return to the game. So that answers that question you asked a moment ago. Hyde now coming back onto the field in street clothes, but he will not be available for the rest of this game.
Thank you very much, Lewis. And there is Hyde, sans shoulder pads, so we'll probably be seeing a lot more of Bryante Dunn, and he is in the backfield. And Miller's going to keep it and follow Dunn, getting to the outside. Gain of 9, 2nd and 1 for Braxton Miller. No more Carlos Hyde, the junior from Naples, Florida, injured in that first half. Interesting talking, Joey, with not only Coach Urban Meyer, but offensive coordinator Tom Herman about utilizing Braxton Miller's legs, but also trying to keep him healthy for an entire season and not take too many hard hits. And the pass play for the first down out across the 40-yard line to Philly Brown.
Coach Herman doesn't feel like running backs get hurt when they run the ball, so he feels very comfortable calling run plays for Braxton Miller. He thinks quarterbacks are more in danger when they're standing in the pocket and get blindsided. So calling runs for Braxton Miller, definitely comfortable for Tom Herman, the offensive coordinator.
Miller's got Zach Boren, the fullback, right behind him. Trips left for the Buckeyes, and this new spread offense for Urban Meyer. And again, Braxton Miller going to keep, and he runs right into Ray Shipman. The linebacker, a terrific story in his own right, the former Florida Mr. Basketball, who gave up on football as a freshman in high school and had some success on the basketball court at Florida, but missed football so much that he decided to hang up the sneakers and put on the cleats. Boren off the left side across midfield. And it'll set up another 3rd and short situation. We're seeing a lot more up-tempos and dual-threat quarterbacks like Braxton Miller, Joey, around the Big Ten Conference.
And I think that these kind of offenses will change the way the Big Ten plays football. I think since Urban Meyer has taken over Ohio State, he has done 2 good things. He's recruited stout defensive linemen that are quick and big, and I think that'll change the style. And he's also turned Braxton Miller into a threat with his feet and his arm. And the Big Ten is going to have to keep up with that style of play. With Brady Hoke at Michigan doing the same thing, Urban Meyer here at Ohio State doing it. I think that those two coaches, those 2 teams will change the way football is played in the Big Ten.
First down after the Miller run. Braxton stepping back, firing across the middle behind his intended receiver, Devin Smith. Their longest pass play of that first half was just 14 yards. Braxton Miller went 9 for 11 through the air.
We haven't seen Braxton Miller go downfield much in the first half, and we talked about that at halftime. When would they do that? Play action pass here, they look to go downfield a little bit. He's been very safe up till now. He's done very well completing passes up till now. Eventually you will see that they will take their shots downfield to the outside receivers.
On 2nd and 10. First possession of this second half for the Buckeyes, and the freshman Bryante Dunn probably will be playing a bigger role in this second half. He was one of 14 rookies that played last week. Dunn and a fantastic group of defensive linemen, the most prominent, with Noah Spence, Tommy Shutt, and Adolphus Washington, those linemen that also got some quality minutes in the season opener. All part of Urban Meyer's impact. Miller to the air, Boren with the catch inside the 25-yard line, and another first down. Pickup of 13.
Another safe throw for Braxton Miller. Nice out to the flat to Boren as fullback. Get a key first down to keep this drive moving along. He's moving the chains today very well. 10 of 13 throwing, making safe throws, keeping his confidence high. He's making plays with his feet mainly, but also moving the chains with his arm.
First down, Miller's going to keep. Wrapped up after the short game by A.J. Bouye coming up from the secondary. Of course, whenever you talk about Urban Meyer and coming back here to Ohio State, there are going to be comparisons to Florida and to the SEC, and bringing that style of play here. Can he be as successful with the 2 national championships while in Gainesville? On 2nd and 9. Doesn't look like your typical Big Ten alignment from old with 5 wide. Miller to the air, and Smith has the catch to the 14-yard line, close to another first down. Jordan Oserite's with the stop.
When you talk to defensive coordinators, you talk to head coaches, offensive coordinators across the country, and you ask them what makes the SEC different from every other conference, and the first thing they say is their depth on the defensive line. And I think that Urban Meyer and what he's done since he's been here, landing Noah Spence, landing Adolphus Washington, Tommy Shutt, on that defensive line, freshmen that play now, where in a couple years these guys will be nasty. He's making that depth on the defensive line, and if you're going to want to keep up and start playing that SEC style of game, you got to have depth on the defensive line. You have a spread offense, athletic quarterback, and the rest of the Big Ten is going to have to keep in that mindset to keep up with Ohio State and what Urban Meyer is going to try to do here.
Miller. Hanging tough in the pocket, now on the run to the end zone. Touchdown! Jake Stoneburner hauls it in from 12 yards out.
Braxton Miller's ability to extend the play with his feet is what changes him in the passing game. Watch his feet move. Looks to the right, nothing there. Goes back to the left, shows the athletic ability to go right, change directions, go left with his feet, and then make a throw to the back of the end zone to a wide open receiver.
Miller accounting for 3 touchdowns last week, 3 more this week, finding Stoneburner, the wideout, and a 24-10 Buckeye lead. And when we come back to Ohio State, the big man back on campus and the return of Joey Gallo.
Robert Smith made the cut. Chris Carter. Jared, hey, how do I get on the board?
Joey, it's only your second game.
Thanks for the support, Jared. I appreciate it, buddy. Hey, here's a board I made. Much more important board right here. Much more important. Academic excellence. 1994.
Joey, you made the board that counts there. What were you, marketing major?
Yes, I was a marketing major a few years ago, Beth. Just a few short years ago, I was here at The Ohio State University as a marketing major.
Maybe next year, if we come back, you'll be on the broadcasters board as well. Beth Mowins along with Joey Galloway, former Buckeye great, 16 years in the NFL. Lewis Johnson also with us today in Columbus, a 24-10 Ohio State lead. First touch of this second half for UCF, and they will start at their own 16-yard line.
Beth, I expected to be treated better when we came back here, especially after this show. Seriously, after what Syracuse did for your return last week.
I had my own porta potty. Look at that. Isn't that
this
nice?
Is special, and I just thought that maybe I could get treated this well, but it just didn't happen, Beth. It didn't happen.
Someday maybe
I gotta
in
work
season 2,
this is only
you'll
my
have
second
your own
game. I gotta work
portable travel potty. Let's see what Central Florida can do in their first opportunity of this second half. Blake Bortles with the give to Storm Johnson, getting his first career start today. Latavius Murray, the starter last week, out this afternoon with a bruised shoulder that he suffered in the opener. And Storm had a decent first half, rushed for 63 yards, including a 48-yard scamper that set them up for a score.
Eventually, UCF is going to have to take a little more shot downfield. Bortles had a great first half, 8 of 11, but only 45 yards, Beth. Sustaining drives versus this defense is tough. Going to have to go downfield a little more.
Johnson trying to get to the outside and can't get by Garrett Goebel, the senior from Villa Park, Illinois, wrapping him up. Well, Monday Night Football returns September 10th with a primetime doubleheader for you. Cincinnati and Baltimore at 7, San Diego and the Oakland Raiders at 10:15 on ESPN. Got a doubleheader for you. Monday Night Countdown starts at 5 Eastern, served by Applebee's. 3rd and 10. Bortles under duress, fires it back into traffic, popped up in the air, picked off. Second interception of the day for the Buckeye defense, and Etienne Sabino hauls in the ricochet.
As a rule for a quarterback, Beth, you do not throw the ball late back across your body. Bortles does that here. This is his first year as a starting quarterback. Those are mistakes that young guys make, Beth. Against this defense, the way they fly around, you cannot make these kind of plays. And this game is starting to have that feel of desperation for UCF, and it makes you try to make these kind of plays. Ohio State returns all 4 starters in that defensive secondary. You cannot throw late across your body back there, or something bad is going to happen.
George O'Leary said the only black mark on Bortles is his willingness sometimes to try and be a cowboy and do too much. And that was the situation right there. And now Ohio State set up in prime territory, and Miller staying on the ground, and a 9-yard pickup for Braxton. Shoved out by A.J. Bouye.
What Braxton Miller and Ohio State has done is they have gained yards on first down, and that is special. 19 carries for 128 yards already. But what they've done is they've kept themselves in 2nd and short, 3rd and short, Beth. And when you can do that offensively, it just opens the playbook and keeps the defense off balance because you can run or pass.
UCF unable to keep Braxton Miller in the pocket. Kevin Smith with a nice juke move gets inside the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, Buckeyes. They scored off of their one takeaway in the first half, and now trying to do it again here off the interception. 15-yard pickup. That's the longest pass play of the day for the Buckeyes. Miller looking all the way to Leonard, and Braxton Miller into the end zone, and his 3rd touchdown run of the day. Triggered by the block of Zach Boren, going in from 8 yards out.
Would you expect anything different, Beth, in this game so far besides a Braxton Miller running touchdown? He's been that kind of guy today. When he gets 2 blockers out in front and gets his momentum going off that left side where they're a little better on the offensive line, he is unstoppable, and he's been unstoppable today.
Whistle on the PAT attempt.
False start. 56 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Driver down.
7th penalty of the day for the Buckeyes, and the numbers impressive for Braxton Miller. Basil is true on the extra point, 31-10. And a big day for Braxton and the Buckeyes so far.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Taco Bell. Sometimes you gotta live Mas. And Spark Business Card from Capital One. Get more with double miles or 2% cash back.
American Whistle, the only manufacturer of metal whistles in the U.S. right here in Columbus, opened up in 1956. They also provide the whistles for the officials around the college football landscape, as well as the Super Bowl. First whistle ever blown, by the way, during a football game by a referee back in the late 1800s. Beth Mowins, Joey Galloway, Lewis Johnson, and the striped shirts with those whistles ready to go. A couple of possessions here in the 3rd quarter for Ohio State, and a couple of touchdowns. A Braxton Miller pass to Jake Stoneburner, and a Braxton Miller run from 8 yards out. And Riddell Hall's going to try and bring it out and make something happen on special teams, and he'll get taken down at the 15-yard line. How about a look at the work of Braxton Miller, Joey?
Beth, Braxton Miller has been special tape. Watch him freeze the box of defenders right here, Beth. When he freezes these guys and makes them stop their feet, you got Troy Gray, 57, just loses it. And if you're the quickest guy and you can make the guys around you freeze their feet, you know you can get your momentum started quicker than they can. And once they stop their feet, Beth, they don't stand a chance. And Braxton Miller has been that guy today. He has frozen everybody on this defense at one point in time today.
Shortly thereafter, Miller took it into the end zone for the third time. He's got 144 yards, and Storm Johnson to the edge. And it takes a hit at the 20-yard line. To the studio and Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. SportsCenter right now brought to you by Miller High Life. The Nationals have made it official, shutting down Steven Strasburg after a shaky start against the Marlins. Manager Davey Johnson made the announcement this morning. Strasburg went 15-6 and a 3.16 ERA in his first full season since ligament replacement surgery. Beth?
Thank you, Wendy. Boy, that's going to be real interesting come postseason time if Steven Strasburg is in the dugout. And a nice hit coming up from the secondary. Christian Bryant with the initial contact of Storm Johnson.
Beth, at some point in time here, we're going to find out if Bortles can stand in the pocket and lead this offense with his arm. It's getting to that stage of game. They're down 21 points in the middle of the third quarter. They're still trying to stick with the game plan and run the ball. It's a 3rd and 5 here. It's a key first down that they need to get so they can get something started offensively.
Bortles is 8 of 12, but his last 2 passes both tipped and picked off. They both led to Ohio State touchdowns. Bortles fires complete across the 25 to the 27 and a first down for the Knights to J.J. Wharton.
I think Bortles needed that completion. This offense needed that completion, Beth. They have not been able to stay on the field. They have not been able to sustain anything. Ohio State scored at the end of the half, and then they come out and score again. So it's important for UCF somehow to flip this momentum back in their favor. And the only way they can do that is to sustain a drive on offense.
Well, we know if nothing else, Blake Bortles is a resilient young man. And first down here, back to throw it. Looking deep, he's got a man open at the 40-yard line of the Buckeyes, and diving to make the grab, Quincy McDuffie. Pick up a 35 yards and a miscue in the secondary for the Buckeyes.
This is a big play, Beth, and I don't want to take anything away from this play by McDuffie, but this has got to be a touchdown, Beth. He has got to find a way to continue running, catch that ball, and get to the end zone. They've had trouble sustaining drives, as I just said. Now, instead of a touchdown, it's a 1st and 10, and they're coming into the red zone, but they still have work to do.
McDuffie, the senior from Orlando, hauling it in, his 3rd catch of the day. To the air again, the receiver screen, Jeff Godfrey. Speaking about the Bortles resiliency, as we take a look at the last time that George O'Leary was here was with the Syracuse University coaching staff, along with Tom Coughlin, who was the offensive coordinator on that team. And Randy Edsall, the current head coach at Maryland, all came here in 1980 to face the Buckeyes when they were ranked #1 in the country.
Those are nice Syracuse coaching uniforms you guys got there, Jeff.
That was a 31-21 win for the top-ranked Ohio State team. Blocking the screen pass is Johnson. And getting back to Blake Bortles in that last pass to Jeff Godfrey. Godfrey was the starting quarterback. They came in together, did Godfrey and Bortles. Godfrey guided the team to the Conference USA Championship in 2010. And a lot of folks were telling Blake Bortles to leave and get out of town. And Blake said, no, I'm going to stick it out. I'm going to try and win this job fair and square. And he was able to take over late last season. And now Godfrey moving to wideout. And the coaches rave about Bortles' poise and fieldmanship. And he's got an opportunity here to try and make something happen. The give to Johnson, and they've got the first down yardage.
Beth, you got to give credit to this UCF offensive line. Wilson, Goins, Ray at the center, McCray, the twin brothers on the right side. Bortles has not been sacked today, and anytime they've needed to get that tough 3rd and 1, 2nd and 1 yard, they have done it. First, the strength, the defensive line of Ohio State.
This Buckeye rush defense that has been so good through the years being tested today. Good second effort here inside the 25. Storm Johnson had 12 carries last year in his debut for UCF, and the coaches were impressed, but also knew that he was a Youngster was a bit nervous, first time wearing the jersey, and they were hoping that he would settle down nicely today, and he has done just that, especially with the injury to Latavius Murray. Storm now 12 carries, 75 yards. The blitz from the edge and out into the flat, incomplete. C.J. Barnett was all over it and coming up with the big hit. Today on ESPN at 3:30 Eastern, it's Florida and Texas A&M in the SEC debut for the Aggies in Kyle Field. Number 24 Gators headed to town with starting quarterback Jeff Driscoll trying to get something done. 3:30 today. It's also available on the Watch ESPN app. So here we go again, another third down situation, 3rd and 6.
Beth, this is when the 104,000 fans in the stands should matter. This is when the noise should matter.
Bortles under pressure as he releases, and a penalty flag down. And a couple of freshmen, Adolphus Washington and Noah Spence, getting right at Bortles. It is going to go against UCF. The officials asking Urban Meyer if he wants the penalty or not.
8 on the offense. 15-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Storm Johnson called for the chop block, I believe, on the other number 8, Noah Spence.
And as I just mentioned, Bortles had not been sacked today. And then the offensive, I don't know if I jinxed them or what happened here, but now they get a penalty on the offensive line. But before that play, the offensive line had done a terrific job of keeping Bortles upright. He had time in the pocket. Now this is a situation where you're down 21 in the 3rd quarter. You got to try to make a play. You can't afford to continue to have drives and not come away with points.
Bortles with time. Looking downfield, he's got a man open at the 10-yard line. And a first down, UCF to J.J. Wharton. "27 yards on the pickup and a couple of long pass plays on this drive, guiding the Knights to a 1st and goal.
Bortles again, and this offensive line gives him time, gives him protection. This is a longer route. It's a crisscross route where the outside receiver runs a post to take the corner out of the picture, and the guy runs a corner inside, leaves him wide open. That's a breakdown in coverage by Ohio State.
Bortles this time will go under center. Brent Harvey, the lone setback. Harvey has some room to the outside, bouncing off of one tackler, close to the goal line for the Knights. Trying to answer a score on the last possession for the Buckeyes with a long sustained drive of their own. 2:45 to play in the 3rd.
You can tell the confidence of this offense, the confidence of this offensive line, and the coaching staff believing that they can run the ball versus this defense. We'll see here. I expect another run. They've been very good on getting short yardage. Expect to see another run up the middle.
Harvey caught in the backfield and thrown for a 1-yard loss. Big Jonathan Hankins leading the charge.
First time we've said Hankins' name today, and I thought that he would be an impact player. He has a rare combination of quickness and speed, and look how quickly he breaks through that offensive line. There's not much you can do with the big fella when he gets his momentum going in a certain direction. You can only hope to change that direction. If you don't put 2 guys on him, you won't be able to stop him.
Got a hand in, and now it's 4th and goal. And the 14th play of the drive coming up.
Interesting that they used Wharton to run that outside slant. Coach shows he is their best slot receiver. But they isolated him out to the left side in a man-to-man situation with Ohio State, maybe their best cover corner in Travis Howard. I just don't know that that's the matchup that UCF would want to go man-to-man versus Travis Howard.
George O'Leary wants the 7 and not the 3. backfield. Billy Giovanetti, the son of a UCF Hall of Famer, hauls in the touchdown.
Give Bortles credit. I mean, he showed a lot of leadership on that drive, completed a couple 3rd and 5s, and then makes the big throw on 4th down for a touchdown.
5th-year senior out of Winter Park with the touchdown grab. And whistles on the extra point attempt.
Review on the completed pass.
And before the snap to start the play, a review now going on upstairs. And go to the replay booth anytime there's a scoring play involved. They want to make sure that Giovanetti has the ball in the end zone.
Beth, I guess if you have the replay equipment, you might as well use it.
I don't think there was any doubt on that last replay. Confirmed touchdown,
yeah,
they'll do that quickly.
Yeah, pretty clear. It looked like he had the ball. Yes, pretty clear touchdown to me, Beth.
Second generation Knight. His father played in Orlando prior to the school going FBS, and now the son bringing it in.
After review, the ruling of the touchdown is confirmed. We'll have the try for point.
So they get the extra point here. They are within a couple of strikes. Just over a minute and a half to go in the 3rd. Second week in a row, the Buckeyes special teams make a play. Jonathan Hankins got a hand on it, and for the 2nd time today, Howard is a bit slow to get up. The Buckeyes able to knock it down. You're watching college football on ESPN, presented by 5 Hour Energy. Well, it turned into a beautiful day here in Columbus. Overthrown just a bit, but that dog not discouraged, trying to go for it. Ohio State 14 points here in the 3rd. Central Florida able to respond with a touchdown, and then the PAT blocked by Adolphus Washington. And Braxton Miller chomping at the bit, ready to get back out there. He is having another big day for the Buckeyes. 3 rushing touchdowns, 1 through the air. And Miller and company will start out at their own 25. To the studio and Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. A scary moment in the Tulsa-Tulane game. Tulane senior safety Devin Walker injured on the last play of the first half. He would leave this field via ambulance, but according to sideline reporter Desmond Purnell, Walker stopped breathing for a brief time, but was revived after paramedics used CPR, and you can see him strapped to a stretcher and leaving the field via ambulance. Again, Tulane senior safety Devin Walker. Beth?
Thank you for that update, Wendy. Back in Columbus, Braxton Miller with the carry, and negative yardage swarmed there by the UCF defense led by Terrence Plummer. He's having himself a huge day. Double-digit tackles today for the middle linebacker.
Yeah, we really hope the young man from Tulsa is okay. You know, that's the toughest part of football are those kind of injuries, and let's just pray that everything's okay for him.
Miller with the rare negative yardage. He's over 100 yards again for the 2nd game in a row on the ground. And now he's working with 5 receivers, and the pass deflected, incomplete, intended for Philly Brown. Victor Gray got a hand on it. Stick around, coming up at 3:30 Eastern on ABC or ESPN2. It's USC Syracuse at Air Force Michigan, and on ESPN Florida at Texas A&M.
How will Michigan rebound after the tough loss to Alabama? It'll be interesting to see how they rebound tonight.
We've talked about the dual threat quarterbacks. So like Braxton Miller, Denard Robinson was, what, just 10 of 27, I think, rushing in that loss to Alabama. Miller to the air, intercepted. Well, underthrowing his intended target, Philly Brown, and it's picked off by A.J. Bouye. And that'll set up the Knights with 46 seconds to go here in the third.
Miller just does not see the corner Bouye under the route. The receiver looks open. He thinks Brown is open, going towards the sideline. Bouye just comes from underneath. It's an underthrown ball, which you run into a little bit of that with Braxton Miller because of his feet. We talked about earlier, he short arms some balls. That one was short. Bouye with the easy interception. And again, can UCF find a way to put points on the board and get back in this game, Beth?
Boys are going to try the end around. Quincy McDuffie may have gotten a yard. Well, we've been talking about Braxton Miller's footwork. The coaching staff has been working with him. How about on this last pass, it gets picked?
Beth, he straightens out the front leg. It seems almost too early, and then all he's throwing the ball with is his arm. His body is not into it, and the ball comes up short, which you see that happen with Braxton Miller. The more he throws, and we watch film, you see a lot of his throws come up a little short because of that throwing motion.
Second turnover of the day, forced by the UCF defense. We'll keep it on the ground. This is Harvey again. Big gainer as he bowls his way inside the 20-yard line, getting an extra push at the tail end, still going. And finally a whistle inside the 15. That pile moved a full 10 yards and a 21-yard pickup.
Beth, the left side of that offensive line, you got Wilson Goins and the leader, Jordan Ray at center. They're getting their confidence going, and then the running back, once he gets into that secondary, gets his bull rush going, and they can't stop him.
Jordan Ray, indeed, reminding us we're all on scholarship, too, and they're earning it on that play. They're within striking distance as we head to the fourth. The Knights are on the move as we take a look at today's hardest working player, brought to you by Polaris, and it's Bryn Harvey. Look at that extra effort, second and third time for the senior from Largo, Florida. Here's a young man that is a 1,000-yard rusher, was an all-conference USA performer, then had an ACL injury, and coming back one more time, trying to guide the Knights to within a touchdown. Harvey wrapped up by Hankins and Shazier in what would be the biggest win in school history. They are looking for their first non-conference win against a ranked opponent, against a Buckeye team that has won 58 straight at home against non-conference unranked opponents.
How about the depth that UCF has at running back? Latavius Murray, the starter, does not play. They go with Storm Johnson, and now Bryn Harvey, another top-notch running back.
Second and 10 for Bortles. Into the slant, and he's got his man, Rennell Hall, with the catch inside the 10. Tackled by Travis Howard. There's a 6-yard gain. And the second catch today by Hall. And for the third time today, Travis Howard staying down on the turf after the play. The senior out of Miami, 2 interceptions last week, has another pick today.
Again, he falls on that shoulder, which I think was the issue earlier in the day when he came up and made the hit, I believe, on Storm Johnson. Come off with a shoulder issue and falls again on that shoulder. So we'll have to pay attention and see what that is with the shoulder that's giving him an issue.
14:24 to go, just underway here in the fourth quarter. 14th ranked Ohio State leading Central Florida 31-16. Braxton Miller accounting for 4 touchdowns today for the Buckeyes, but it's the Knights right now threatening to make things very interesting. Howard is out, replaced by Duran Grant. Bortles intercepted at the 5. Johnson, and it's the third play of the day for the Buckeye secondary.
As a quarterback, throwing the ball versus a zone coverage, you cannot stare down your receiver. As you see Bortles here, stares down the receiver, easy pickoff for the defense.
Third time today, the Buckeyes have scored off the previous two, and they're up in the fourth.
College football in high definition is presented by Vizio.
Oh, former President McKinley, his monument outside the state capitol here in Columbus. The Buckeyes leading Central Florida 31-16 early in this fourth quarter. An interception for Ohio State inside their own 10-yard line, thwarting the drive from Central Florida. And now Braxton Miller in the offense back out there. Miller run out of bounds and missed the second game of the Urban Meyer era after he left Florida and took a year sabbatical. Was up in the broadcast booth, realized how much he missed the game. And when you talk about a pressure cooker at Florida and the health issues that he had, well, there aren't many bigger stages that you can step back onto than this one here in Columbus, where it all began for Urban. His first stop in his coaching journey. Born and raised here in the state. And now back to try and guide the Buckeyes, and Devontae Dunn to the 19-yard line. You know, Buckeye fans know all about what goes on in Columbus and around the state, and really, Joey, around the country, because according to Sportals.com, this is the biggest fan base in college football. Ohio State in front of Alabama, Oklahoma, Michigan, and Auburn.
And that's one of the selling points. When people come here, when recruits come in, they tell recruits that. They let them know, you come be a Buckeye and you'll be part of the biggest organization in the country.
Buckeye for life, isn't that the saying amongst alums? Miller to the air. Philly Brown trying to dive for the first down yardage. He's about a yard shy. Here's Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. It's also the second game in the Bill O'Brien era at Penn State. This game on ABC. The Nittany Lions on the road at Virginia. Michael Rocco to Jeremiah Mathis. And Virginia now taking the lead 10-7.
Rocco made it look easy, didn't he?
Thank you very much, Wendy. Well, the other similarity, of course, both Penn State and Ohio State ineligible to play for the Big Ten championship. They won't be going to bowl games. Interesting tidbit, though, leaked out this week. Adam Rittenberg, Brian Bennett, who both write for ESPN.com, uncovering from the Big Ten office that actually Penn State and Ohio State can still be the Leaders Division champion and win a trophy as such. But they will not be able to compete in the Big Ten title game. Miller corralled at the 34. Troy Davis with the tackle. Here is the Ohio State situation, the postseason ban for this year, reduction in scholarships, probation. They no longer can count any of those wins from the 2010 season, and all the turmoil resulted in not only the resignation of Jim Tressel, but the departure of former quarterback Terrell Pryor, who left early to go to the NFL, and then last season, the first losing season for the Buckeyes since the late 80s. Miller completes it to Brown across the 40 and a first down, and he'll send it to Lewis Johnson.
Well, kind of piggybacking on your discussion about Urban Meyer returning to the college football sideline, he is doing some things different, and I believe people know that he has a contract with his family, which was signed before he signed his deal here with Ohio State. A couple of the stipulations from his kids: family had to come first, dad must eat 3 meals a day, and I love this one, you cannot be on the phone at church or at dinner, and you've got to make an effort to be at every event that they have. And so he's working to do all those things, and it's inspired a lot of men around the country to do the same. Beth?
Thank you very much, Lewis. The overthrow from Braxton Miller. Yeah, he says he's heard from hundreds and close to 1,000 different people inspired by his contract with his family. There's his son on the sideline, Nate Meyer, who Urban told us with a big smile on his face that his son caught a touchdown pass
Correction,
in his
first down.
football game the other day. Urban said you could count every tooth in his mouth. He was so excited to make that catch. And actually, it's a doubleheader day for the Myers. Not only Urban playing today, but they're going to try and hustle to Toledo to watch daughter Gigi, whose Florida Gulf Coast volleyball team is playing at Toledo tonight. Ironically enough, other daughter Nikki, who plays for Georgia Tech, is playing at Florida this evening. Urban's former employer. After the penalty, 1st and long, Miller's got some time. Looking, runs right into Jose, who wraps him up along with Dunston.
One of the few situations today where Braxton Miller let his feet stop and get himself into a bad situation. This ball either has to come out or he has to run out of the pocket. You cannot stand there and take sacks at this stage of the game. You're trying to run the clock, and now you're in a 2nd and extremely long where it takes you out of your run game, and you have the opportunity to throw an incomplete pass, which stops the clock. And the clock right now is Ohio State's best friend.
5 wideouts again for Miller. And he's going to hang on to it himself, and coming up from the secondary to make the play, Kamal Ishmael.
If UCF has a player that can make an open field tackle on Braxton Miller, it's going to be Kamal Ishmael. He's their leading tackler last season. This guy in their secondary is their leader, their best player, the guy in open field that they expect to bring the ball carrier down in all situations.
George O'Leary's been in the game for over 40 years, and he says Kamal Ishmael is one of the best he's seen in the secondary. The 4-year starter. 3rd and forever. Miller fires it across the middle, and the completion out across the 40 to Brown, or excuse me, to Devin Smith. That will get them back to the original line of scrimmage.
Which is a nice play, Beth. It doesn't pick up a first down, but what it does is it puts 15 more yards between UCF and the end zone after the punt. Field position is important at this stage of game. You want to force UCF to go as long as possible to get to their own end zone when they're still down by 15 points.
And it takes till the 4th quarter for the Buckeyes' first punt of the day. J.J. Wharton back deep at his own 16-yard line. Ben Buchanan coming on for the first time. Wharton's going to take it on the move. And Wharton out across the 30 to the 31-yard line. 8:42 to go. 31-16 Buckeyes. And the solitary figure at the shoe, still taking it all in.
ESPN College Football is presented by 5-Hour Energy, hours and hours of energy. And in part by the Volkswagen Passat, 2012 Motor Trend Car of the Year.
Well, the Golden Bear had nerves of steel on the golf course from the Jack Nicklaus Museum. How about the nerves of steel of this guy right here? Well, that's the police officer who's up on his perch. He is a long way up, and Joey, talk about the footwork. He's on a slant there.
I don't know if you can appreciate just how high that guy is. On a slant, terrific feet work to keep his balance.
Back to the action down on the field, and UCF needs a couple of scores here in the final 8.5 minutes. Can Blake Bortles lead the charge? As Bryn Harvey gets the carry, Bortles is 14 for 22 today, 130 yards. He's got a couple of touchdowns, but he has also thrown 3 interceptions.
At some point, UCF is going to have a sense of urgency on offense. And right now, they don't seem as if they're in a hurry-up style offense, down 15 points with 8 minutes left in the 4th quarter.
They had that 35-yard pass play earlier in the half, but we have not seen many throws downfield from either side as they pick up the first down out to their 45, and it's time for a SportsCenter right now.
Beth, thank you. It is SportsCenter right now, brought to you by Miller High Life. Baseball news, the Nationals have made it official, shutting down Stephen Strasburg after a shaky start against the Marlins. That announcement was made official this morning. So Strasburg done for the season. He will not pitch in the postseason.
Thank you very much, Wendy. The baseball update, getting closer to the Major League playoffs, and Bortles will throw that one into the turf, and a flag down as the officials probe for an eligible receiver, and there is one there in Bryn Harvey as the officials get together to talk. Steve Miller bringing the pressure.
Grounding. 5 on the offense. Down counts, spot the foul. First down, second down.
Interesting call, Beth, because the running back was there, and it was a screen play. Not real sure why he was not allowed to throw that ball at the running back's feet to get out of the play.
O'Leary looking very perplexed, talking with the head linesman on the far side.
Puts them in a 2nd and 20, Beth, which is, as you mentioned, they have not gone downfield very much yet today, and now they're going to be forced to try to pick up, I would guess, at least half of this on 2nd down.
To the air, and the catch for Renell Hall. Knocked out of bounds by Duran Grant, who stays in the game in relief of the injured Travis Howard. That's the 3rd catch today for Hall. So they are able to get it back close to the original line of scrimmage.
I needed Hall to get 1 more yard, Beth, to make me right.
That's
to get half. Maybe he didn't hear me, but he's 1 yard short of the half I called.
Howard now the 2nd starter on the sideline without pads, joining starting tailback Carlos Hyde. And flags on the snap.
False start. 64 in the offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Stick around, coming up at 3:30 Eastern, ABC or ESPN2. Make sure to check your local listings for afternoon football presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. It's Southern Cal, Syracuse, or Air Force, Michigan. 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific. Also available on your Watch ESPN app. Trojans got jumped this week. Alabama, the new #1 after the impressive win over Michigan. Bortles fires downfield to Hall across midfield. Needed to get to the 45. Let's see where the mark is. Or if the officials are going to rule it incomplete. Nope. The linesman saying it is a catch at the 47. So 4th and a couple here for UCF.
Play of the game coming up for UCF's offense. Early in this, well, midway through this 4th quarter, they need to pick this up. They're down 15. They need 2 scores with the clock ticking back.
Timeout going to be called here
Previous
by
play
Ohio
is under
State.
review. Early on the field was completed pass.
And a review going on as well with the Buckeyes on top, 31-16. 6:27 to go, 31-16 Ohio State, and it's 4th and 2 for the Knights. Trying to keep alive their hopes for what would be the biggest win in school history if they can come back. Bortles, pressure coming up front. Hankins in his face, passes away, and it is Bradley Roby that reaches in to knock it loose from Quincy McDuffie.
How about the hands by Roby? As a defensive back, when a receiver reaches out to grab the ball, a lot of defensive backs are taught, play his hands. Do not look back for the ball, just play through his hands. Roby did a terrific job right there in stripping that ball loose.
Now the Buckeyes will have it back near midfield, 1st and 10. Braxton Miller's got Bryante Dunn with him in the backfield. Devin Smith into UCF territory to the 48-yard line. Under 6 to go, and they'll try and work some of the clock here at Ohio State. We've talked about how significant a move it is for Urban Meyer to come back here to mentor the Buckeyes. They are the most popular college football team in the U.S., according to the New York Times, in front of Michigan, Penn State, Notre Dame, and Texas. Seven national championships. The run for Rod Smith. Stopped at the 45. He'll be a couple yards shy of that first down marker.
What's interesting about that list is not only that Ohio State is #1, but there's two Big Ten teams behind them, Notre Dame and Texas. There's no SEC football team in that top 5. And with the dominance that they've had in college football over the last 6-7 years, that's surprising to me that not one SEC team has cracked the top 5.
The SEC is represented in the next 5. The 6 through 10 is where the SEC teams start showing up. Miller will keep it. He's got the first down. I think part of that is blowback from the rest of the country that are sick and tired of the SEC winning every year. And unless you're in that particular area, you might not be pulling for the SEC this year. You might be pulling for a team from elsewhere in the country to try and break through and win a national championship. The SEC has won the last 6 in a row. And, of course, Alabama is #1 in the country. And they've got, what, 5, I think, of the top 10, right? LSU will be in action tonight, taking on Washington. And Miller bumps into Dunn and will hit the deck.
Always interesting matchups when the SEC plays any other conference, like last week. You know, Alabama plays Michigan, and everybody in the country wants to watch and see, you know, what is one of the best teams from the Big Ten going to do versus the best team from the SEC. It didn't go well for the Big Ten, and that's why, you know, when you think college football, you think SEC first, because they have done a good job of separating themselves from everyone else.
On 2nd and 14, they're letting the clock work. 3.5 to go. Miller takes a hit, gets the pass away, and it's caught at the 40-yard line by Smith. Well, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series in Richmond tonight. It's the final race before the chase. The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series at Richmond tonight at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC. It's Jeff Gordon and Kyle Busch in the driver's seat, battling each other tonight for that final spot, that wild card spot in the chase for the Sprint Cup. And while we've got a moment, let's get to the studio on Wendy Nix.
Beth, thank you. To Charlottesville we go. This game on ABC, Penn State and Virginia. The Nittany Lions trailing by 3, but Matt McGloin finds Allen Robinson the touchdown, and Penn State has taken the lead. It's now 16-10, less than 11 to play in the 4th quarter.
Buckeyes back on top. Ohio State will be traveling to Penn State. Late October on the schedule.
Beth, are you going to watch the race tonight?
I got to see how Matt Kenseth does, don't I?
Yeah, Matt is my guy. But
Yeah.
Jeff Gordon, this will be his last chance to get into the chase. Last chance for Jeff Gordon. It's a big one tonight, Beth. I'd sit down and watch if I were you.
I think I'm going for Gordon over Kyle Busch. The Big Ten, the leaders and legends. Who you like winning the Big Ten this year?
I think that I like what Michigan does.
74 in the offense.
I like Wisconsin.
5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
I think it's going to be a 4-team race, you know, and I'm going to include Ohio State in that, you know, even with the sanctions. I think that Michigan State, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Ohio State are the 4 best teams. And I think you would have to say, even with what happened at Alabama, Michigan would probably still be favored at this point, Beth, just because, you know, the record last year, and you know, I think that Wisconsin lost a lot. So let's say Michigan for now.
3rd and 14. Miller, incomplete, dropped across the middle. I think a lot of folks have Purdue possibly as a sleeper. They've got a lot of experience back. I think we'll find out a lot more about the Boilermakers today after their game in South Bend against the Fighting Irish. And Nebraska with a test today out west. They'll be at UCLA later tonight.
Nebraska's another team with an athletic quarterback that can make plays with his feet. Taylor Martinez, you've got to contain him in the pocket also. Another one of those athletic quarterbacks. that run better than they throw in the Big Ten.
Running unit on here with 3:14 to go.
Delay of game, kicking team, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
That is now double-digit penalties on the day for Ohio State.
Beth, I know that one counts in the stats, but I do believe that that's one of those penalties, as a punter, you would like to have the extra 5 yards to work with, you know, and again, it counts on the stats, but as far as penalties go, that's not one that hurts you much.
Buchanan gets it off. Morton, and a fair catch it at the 11. Just over 3 minutes for UCF to work with. When we come back, closer look at the training days with the Urban Meyer and the Ohio State Buckeyes. Back here on the banks of the Olentangy River in Columbus, Ohio. Buckeyes trying to close out Central Florida 31-16. Just over 3 minutes for the Knights to try and generate something late. Braxton Miller, another big day for the Buckeyes, accounting for 4 touchdowns. Another 100-yard rushing day for Miller. Blake Bortles. Big stick there from the Buckeye defense under 3 minutes to go. Training days we saw on ESPNU leading up to this season for Ohio State. You miss those days at all, Joey, from your days here at OSU?
Beth, not at all. When I see that stuff, it just reiterates to me how happy I am to be up here in the booth with you. I want no part of what those guys go through in camp. I remember those days. I remember the smell, the feel, what your body feels like at the end of the day and how you feel when you get up in the morning. Camp is probably one of the worst experiences, Beth, that I've ever been a part of, and I went through a lot of them, Beth.
16 years in the NFL after your days here at Ohio State. With 4.1 speed, Joey, I can't imagine you took too many direct hits, did you, over the years?
I tried to avoid the hits, Beth. I was always the fastest down the field, so I made sure I got out of the way of the big guys.
USF trying to work that clock, getting out of bounds is J.J. Wharton. Pickup of 13. Stop the clock. Get it restarted. They won't start on the snap until under 2 minutes to go in the game. Bortles looking across the middle, takes a hit, delivers the strike, and a completion out to the 40-yard line. Down to Lewis Johnson.
Well, Beth and Joey, as the game becomes to get to a close, George O'Leary, you know, he'd be happy to tell you that he is an old school coach. Need some evidence? Well, do you see any names on these Central Florida jerseys? No, you don't. Only one jersey with the name team on it, and that's back in Orlando as this next play continues. He told us this week that too many athletes feel entitled. He wants his players to focus on the we and not the me. Now, contrast that with this mentality at Ohio State. As a part of a $400,000 investment, they want 1,100 athletes to have iPads in the next 2 years. All the football players for the Buckeyes have them right now, getting their plays and preparation for the next game electronically. And they'll host Cal next week here at Ohio Stadium.
Thank you, Lewis. Now, the Buckeyes are one of the biggest budgets for an athletic department with the most sports in the nation. And that'd be pretty good to have an iPad for every student athlete eventually, not just the football team, but all of the teams here at Ohio State.
Yeah, it is nice to have the ability to buy 1,100 iPads back and pass those out. I'm not sure that there are many universities across the country that can afford that kind of bill.
You have to block Angry Birds. I wonder if there's a password so you can't get the games or you can't play Madden 13 on them. I do like the mentality of O'Leary, too, the no names on the jerseys and trying to establish something special at UCF with all the offseason turmoil and the changes to the staff. And an opportunity this year as one of the favorites in Conference USA before moving to the Big East to make a statement on their way out the door. It'll be interesting with the NCAA appeal whether or not they will be eligible for the Conference USA Championship or a bowl game. If it comes to that. Under 2 minutes to go. Out close to midfield now for Blake Bortles. Incomplete. That went off the chest of Etienne Sabino, the linebacker.
Now we're seeing the deficiency in the UCF offense. Now it is pure pass. They can't mix in the run because of the time in the game, and this is what they talked about. Didn't know if they had the ability to stand in the pocket and just operate their offense from a pure pass standpoint, and they're struggling in that area now.
O'Leary wants a timeout.
Timeout. UCF. Their second. 30 seconds.
So they will have one timeout to work with and 1:38 on the clock. With 1:38 to play for the Buckeyes. Beth Bowens along with Joey Galloway, Lewis Johnson. You know, the conquering hero returning home this weekend for the Buckeye Nation. And, Joey Galloway back at his alma mater this weekend.
What are we cooking? What we got? Can you believe this is my first time back here for a game? A lot of great memories. Great feel to this place. It's good to feel this again. All right, guys, I got work to do. I got to call the game.
Oh, boy.
Was that necessary?
I don't know about that last shot, but the rest of it was fun to watch. Tipped, incomplete. And the Buckeyes hold on 4th down. And they will take over with 1:32 to go. So Ohio State, they knew they would be tested a little bit more today than they were a week ago, and they respond to the challenge. We discover once again this week how lethal the legs are of Braxton Miller and his ability to run it on the ground and do it effectively.
I think when the coaching staff sits down and watches the film of this game, they will be a little more pleased than they were last week in the Miami of Ohio game. I think they played a much better, more solid, more complete game this week.
Miller with the handoff to Rod Jones. The only question marks, the injuries to Carlos Hyde and Travis Howard, a starter on each side of the ball. But Braxton Miller today, 141 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. He also threw a touchdown pass and 155 yards in the air.
And really showed why his name has come up in the Heisman race conversation. He showed that he is that kind of player that can change a game, score from anywhere on the field. And when you think of Heisman players, you think of guys who can control a game from their position. And Braxton Miller at quarterback has done that today for Ohio State, and we'll see what he does with the rest of the season. But here today, he deserves to be in that conversation.
And the fumble on the exchange with Rod Jones, or excuse me, with Rod Smith, and it gives it back over to Central Florida. Troy Davis with the recovery. Yeah, when Braxton Miller's name came up last week at a press conference with the Heisman attached to it, oh gosh, was the response of Urban Meyer. He doesn't think that they're quite there just yet. A lot of room for improvement, but certainly on the ground as effective as just about anybody in the conference.
He's worked extremely hard to change the mindset of his quarterback. He wants him to be the ultimate quarterback, a Peyton Manning type of quarterback with his mindset, with his preparation. He wants him to be a gym rat. He doesn't want him thinking about things like the Heisman Trophy. He said when he came here, he felt as if Braxton Miller was too cool. He was just a cool kid sort of going through the motions, and he's trying to change that mindset. So when people start talking Heisman and awards, things that get Braxton Miller away from the team concept, that's not a positive thing, especially this early in the season if you're Coach Meyer.
First and 10 from the 23. Braxton Miller, a much deserved break over there on the sideline. UCF will be able to take plenty from today as well. They've still got a date with Missouri, an SEC foe coming up before they get into Conference US play. So they are testing themselves and preparing themselves.
I really believe that offensive line play for UCF today has been tremendous. I mean, we talked about early on how good the defensive line is for Ohio State. You think Simon, Hankins, Goebel, and this offensive line have kept their quarterback Bortles upright. No one has got to him today, and they've run the ball effectively, giving their offense a chance to operate.
Incomplete at the goal line. Broken up by C.J. Barnett, intended for Godfrey. A work in progress for Urban Meyer, and the demand for perfection out of his team, out of his coaching staff. Inside the 10-yard line. And first down yardage there for UCF, and they will call a timeout with 3 seconds left here.
Well, Beth, you can't take them home with you. You might as well you might as well use them when you can, Beth, because once you get on the bus, you can no longer use them.
And you know, if you're coming here to try and improve your team, and you have a chance to get one more play, why not?
Yeah, enjoy your time in Ohio Stadium, Beth. Don't cut it short.
Yep. Here's the remaining schedule for the Buckeyes. Cal and UAB out of conference. And then they'll open up Big Ten play at Michigan State on September 29th. The back end is particularly daunting there at Wisconsin before the team up north, as they like to say in these parts, on November 24th.
The Michigan State, Nebraska back-to-back, and then later in the season, Wisconsin, Michigan back-to-back. That's the tough part, because you're playing, top 20 teams back-to-back weeks. And it's always tough to get up 2 weeks in a row. It's tough to get a football team to play well 2 weeks in a row versus tough opponents.
And a team that knows it will not be playing in a bowl at the end of the road. And Bortles will not be able to find the end zone. Hauled down. Steve Miller, one of the first guys there to take care of business for the Buckeyes, and they close it out 31-16. Ohio State over UCF, the final score. Coming up next is the College Football Scoreboard Show presented by Honda. For Joey Galloway, Lewis Johnson, and our entire ESPN crew, I'm Beth Mowins. Good afternoon from Columbus, Ohio. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. His second game back home at Ohio State for Urban Meyer. Ups and downs continue, but they are 2-0. And now let's send you back to the studio and Wendy Nix.